Hi everyone, today's July 13th, 2019, and it's the Duel Assessment, your podcast for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. My name is Green Ranger, and this week in the Duel World, Konami has decided to stuff everything and throw it into 1 week, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. Special Duels wrapped up. It's kind of a small thing, but Sartorius came over, so there's a whole new event with his new cards. You get to reacquire the character if you haven't. New box, so a new box review will come out here. We're just going to talk about the URs and the SRs for the new box Cybernetic Rebellion that came out Thursday, I believe. So we're a few days into this new box. We're going to do the podcast question of the week, the best archetype support in the new box. Also, we have skill balance changes upcoming, so that will come in the second half of July, but we have 3 skills changed and 4 cards added to the forbidden, limited, and semi-limited list. So we're going to talk about those cards. And yeah, new things, Yusei's birthday, mission circuit, and also Doug's casual deck of the week, which is actually a farming deck for Sartorius. So that's the light and dark silent swordsman coming up later. So as for myself this week, after I recorded the podcast for last week, I decided to play some games for special duels, and then I hit King of Games there with Roid deck. So that was, if you don't recall, that was the Submarine Roid direct attack with Mega Roid City, and that was pretty easy. It was about 30 wins to get to that special duels King of Games. So I have that done again. I think I hit King of Games in every special duels, and it was pretty easy just because you don't have to go through Plat or a Legend. I think the win streak requirement was pretty easy this time as well, but it's possible that Roids were just OP in that format. So we're not sure what Konami learned from the event when they're making their finals this year, so it's possible some of those cards will change. In terms of regular ranked, I am sitting at Plat 4, I believe, with 6 Sams, balanced 6 Sams again. Even with the new box release, and even with the gems I saved up, I'm pretty sure I can't play a complete version of Aliens or Cristrons. Maybe I could play Mermails if I wanted to, but I'll wait a little bit. I'll keep playing 6 Sams for now. And yeah, that's all. We'll see where I go from there. And if eventually I should be able to build some new deck, but it depends when the gems are going to get here. It's always the struggle in this game, of course. So, esports this week, we're just going to go over one tournament because this is going to be a very long episode. And the one tournament that went on that we are going to cover is the Duel Links Meta Weekly 80. This happened on July 10th, and it follows the trend. It seems the meta is pretty stable now new cards are being injected into the game, but they're going to have those nerfs soon. So, this is another tournament where 6 Sams were the most represented, but they did not crack the top 4, so people are trying to hit it with 6 Sams. They did move up, so Triamids are still pretty good. They were second. They had 6 in the top 80, and top 32, sorry, and 6 Sams had 6 in the top 32, so those are kind of the top 2 decks in these tournaments right now. First place, Secrecy, Parasite Infestation, Cyber Dark Neos. So this was previously the triple archetype, where they had Kawakimeru in it. Now it's been cut out. There's a bit of a burn component here. You've got Lava Golem and Parasite Infestation, of course. Interesting. They have 2 Jade Insect Whistles to do the Parasite Infestation. And of course, when you cut out Kawakimeru, you have more of the Cyber Dark cards. Cyber Dark Edge was always a direct attacker. In the extra deck, you have 100 Eyes Dragon, which actually works very well with Cyber Dark Edge, so it could become a 3000 attack direct attacker. Of course, I don't see any tuners here, so they would have to steal something with Econ and then do the Synchro Summon. So this 100 Eyes Dragon is just here. In the event they steal a tuner. Second place, Beastie Mario with Beatdown Dark Magician. So this is the first time I think we're seeing a Dark Magician in the top 4. And previously, Dark Magician decks did run a ton of spells. This one only has 1 Dark Magic Expanded, 1 Illusion Magic, 1 Dark Magic Attack, and 2 Econs. So previously they had 1,000 Knives or Dark Magic Curtain. It's no longer the case. You have more trap cards. You have 3 Magician's Navigation, 3 Bad Aim. Bad Aim is just a hard card to get because it's a Absolute Inferno box, and that's not really a good box. But first, and 1 Fusion Reserve. So there's more trap cards in Dark Magicians now. And of course the Monster Core, 2 Magician of Dark Illusion, 3 Magician's Rod, and 3 regular Dark Magician. Third place, Autumn Leaf Switcheroo, Koakimeru Neos. Koakimeru Neos has just been running around forever. This one only runs 1 Iron Core and 1 Treacherous Trap Hole. This is something that's going to not be the case anymore when the nerfs come. We'll talk about that later. Otherwise, pretty standard deck. You've got Gale Lizards, of course. 2 Protect Against Graveyard Protection, which happens with 6 Sams now. And other Neos decks as well. Third place, Shiny Sophion, Mass Tribute, Subterror. It's a pretty basic deck. 2 Umastrix, 2 Tsukuyomi, 3 Stygo Kraken, 3 Nemesis Warrior, 2 Cosmic Cyclone, 3 Paleozoic Canadia, 3 Subterror Final Battle, 2 Treacherous Trap Hole. Very clean deck. That is it for esports. Go on Duel Links Meta and check out the other tournaments that went on. We're just not covering it because there's a lot of other stuff to talk about this week. So, check out that website for all the other decks. In terms of the tier list for Duel Links Meta, there wasn't much of a change except 6 Sams are back on top. This kind of comes with their kind of sheer numbers, I guess. That's what really happened. They're not the most successful deck, but they are pretty solid. And they're a fine deck for laddering too. There's a few ways to play it. Of course, if you have Light and Dark, that's probably the best way to play it. Beatdown's always good. Tie That Binds works. And I'm using the balanced version, so you could go many different ways. But anyways, Tier 1, we have 6 Samurais and Subterror. The rest of the thing is unchanged. Tier 2, Ancient Gears, Blue Eyes, Triamids, Red Eyes, Spellbooks. These are all pretty good decks. No one's really pulling out ahead, though. Triamids are seeing a lot of representation as well. And Tier 3, we have Magnet Warriors, which have stayed, and Koakimeru and Neos. With some of the upcoming changes, we expect some of these decks to drop out. And we're going to talk about these changes right now. When Konami makes nerfs or buffs and stuff, they usually do the skills and then the cards separately, so that's what's going to happen here. Approximately July 18th, we are going to have skill rebalancing on 3 skills. So 2 of them are very meta skills. 1 of them was just added to the game, so that's kind of weird. But I guess they made the skill kind of broken, and now that's no longer the case. So Masked Tribute. Masked Tribute was never really used for Desgardus. It was always the Subterrors just completely took over the skill. And now the difference, now the change, is that the randomly summoned Masked Monster, which is Grand Tiki Elder or Malekith the Four-Faced Beast, is played in defense mode. The card was never always used to attack, but there were it was typically just sent to the graveyard to bring back, to summon the Umastrix from the deck or something. But now that monster's in defense mode and you can't do that final attack. Further, you can't summon until the end of the opponent's turn, so the monster, which either has 800 defense or 1200 defense, has to survive your opponent's turn, and then the next turn you can use it to bring out your monster. So the ramp ability is delayed a whole turn, and your opponent gets to respond, as well as the offensive hit of 1500. It's big. It's a big nerf, and Subterrors will probably maybe Tier 3. I think it's that significant of a nerf that their main engine gets hit pretty hard. Next skill is Parasite Infestation. This is a skill we've seen since the beginning of the game. burn decks, I mean, it's always been a staple of burn stall because you could do 1,000, 2,000 damage to your opponent randomly, and it sets up Lava Golem. It changes types, so types don't work anymore, and you can't do things anymore. So there's a lot going on. And as we saw in the tournament this week, the first place deck, which had that double archetype Neos component, Neos Cyber Dark deck, they were using Parasite Infestation. It fit very well. So the goal is to make it more insecty, I guess that's what Konami said, but they really just want it to... It was being used too much, I guess that's what the numbers show. So now this skill won't even activate unless you have 4 insect monsters, 4 more insect monsters with different names. So you're going to have to put different insects into your deck. And insects are traditionally one of the worst archetypes in Yu-Gi-Oh! Not archetypes, monster types. They're not spellcasters, they're not warriors, they're insects. And probably won't even see play anymore, I think. Like, it's... We don't have a lot of good insects. I think the best ones are the trap tricks. And maybe you could do something with the trap tricks where you're just activating holes from your hand and things like that, but I don't think there's 4 of them, so even that deck won't be... No, wait. One of the Trap Tricks monsters is a plant, I think. One of them's an insect. 1800 one's an insect, and the 1700 one's a plant. So that might not even work. So maybe when more insects come into the game, I don't know. Maybe someone will come up. They'll just filter insects in our card catalog, and they'll come up with something. But I, for one, am happy that this skill is going to get nerfed. And finally, 3 Lord Pillars. It doesn't make much sense for me to talk about it now because I didn't even talk about Sartorius giving us the skill. But this skill was kind of set up in a way where it's trying to special summon Arcana Force Light Ruler. And that's the 4,000 that we got last time. And you have to have these 3 spell traps on the field. You have to have Skylord, Spiritual Lord, and Material Lord. This skill currently lets you have Material Lord set already on the field if you have copies of the Spiritual Lord and the Sky Lord in your deck. But the thing was, those cards were put on the bottom of the deck. And if you're running 3 copies of Spiritual Lord and Sky Lord, you're essentially running a 14-card deck, which helps you basically put this in a package with different cards, so you draw them right away. And you just draw what you need. And your probability of drawing what you need goes up crazy. So they're switching it up so that the cards are no longer on the bottom of the deck, and you could brick more. You could brick more in terms of drawing these Lord cards, these 3 Lord cards, to get Arcana Force EX, even though that wasn't the plan, if that makes any sense. So the skill is being nerfed before it goes crazy, I guess. So those are the skill changes that are upcoming. Forbidden, I shouldn't say forbidden. It's more limited and semi-limited list changes. These are coming late in the month, July 26th. I say late in the month, but it's already July 13th, so 2 more weeks. And what will happen here is Lapis Lazuli, Gem Knight Lady Lapis Lazuli is being put in the limited list. That means 1 card. And it's not like this card was broken. It's not like there were 1-turn kill decks. I feel like I have been killed by this card before, but it wasn't rampant. You see it rarely. And I think there's more Gem Knight support now. There's Rock support in the last box. So they were trying to extinguish a fire that didn't happen yet. And yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm not sure if this was ever the win condition for Gem Knights. I think they always tried to use the other monsters, but it is something that can get out of hand, and especially with the number of special summoned monsters, this could just end the game. So it's good for them to put it out the fire first. The next big change is the Kawaki Meiru nerf, and there's 2 things going on. Currently, the Iron Core is on the semi-limited list, so right now you have 2 Iron Cores. The Maximus is still on the limited list, so that hasn't changed. Iron Core is being moved from 2 to 3, so we can have 3 copies again. but the Diamond Core is being put on the semi-limited list, so it's becoming 3-2. And this, it seems like their first nerf of Kawakimeru didn't really do anything, because the deck is still placing tier 3, it's still a package with Neos, so moving forward, the deck will still probably be a package with Neos, but the consistency really takes a hit. When you play Diamond Core, you're typically tutoring for the Iron Core anyways, right? So this 3-2 on Diamond Core just hits the consistency. And, you're not going to be... And we saw something with the previous tournament where they cut an Iron Core for Treacherous Trap Hole. You're not going to cut Diamond Core for a Treacherous Trap Hole. You need as many Diamond Cores as possible. So, Treacherous Trap Hole is effectively out, even though we thought it would be effectively out with the Iron Core semi-limit. It didn't really happen. So now, it's a double whammy. You kind of have to draw into your Iron Cores, which is another thing. You have to kind of waste them. So, Kawakimerus, I don't know if they'll still exist. They still have tools, I guess. They might just exist as a package. I'm not ready to write them off completely. And finally, the last semi-limit is Amazoness Swordswoman. And this is something I take pride in because I saw it coming. This happened when Red Eyes first came out, and not first came out, the new Red Eyes deck came out. And I remember people were just running Amazoness Swordswoman as the monsters, and I thought to myself, this, in terms of a Hearthstone meme, I thought that the monster limited design space because it didn't allow the other monsters to be played, the other warrior monsters to be put into the Red Eyes deck. And that's basically what happened here, I think. Amazoness Swordswoman is just being put into any deck where they need the warrior, and it just prevents strong monsters from being on the board, and that's a huge limitation. So, Amazoness Swordswoman is being put on the semi-limited list. I don't think... So for Red Eyes, Spirit is no longer a semi-limit. I guess Econ is out, so any deck that needs this, there's no Econ. Amazons weren't really played. They've seen their numbers drop significantly since, so they haven't really seen play since all these other new decks came out. So, yeah, it's being put as a 2. It'll just limit it to what decks can include it that need to run semi-limited cards. That's basically what it is. So I am happy for this because I do want to see other warriors being played. It does hurt Amazoness for sure, but I never really liked the deck to begin with, so that's a personal bias on my part. But yeah, these are the changes, and they're coming up later this month. So let's move on to the PvE event this week. One of the PvE events. Consumed by Light, Sartorius emerges. This is the second acquisition event for Sartorius, and there's also the new skill 3 Lord Pillars, which we just mentioned, so I'm not going to go over it again. But right now, 3 Lord Pillars is sort of broken in that 14 card draw deck, so maybe if you want to hit King of Games and you never did, it's a way to do it. You would just try to find a deck that's abusing that skill. But this event is running till July 16th, and we're halfway through the event. And I didn't realize that because I've barely gone into this event. I've just been busy, I guess, and I haven't really been doing this event. I've just been auto-dueling things, and I barely have any of the new cards. I have one of the new card, I think, so I personally need to get going. I need to multiply my duels, my farms into this. I actually am farming this when I can, so even though I hate farming, it's something to do. And Doug Dimmitt Duel is going to talk about his farming deck of the week. It's a casual deck of the week, but it's for farming this event. So tune in later this episode, or skip ahead if you want. Go in the show notes and see what deck Doug Dimmitt Duel is using to farm. But there are 5 new cards, in addition to some of the old rewards. So, let's talk about the 5 new cards. The first one is Arcana Force 11, the Hangman. This is a UR. It's either the Hangman or the Hanged Man. I'm not sure which one they're using. Level 6 Light Fairy, 2200 attack, 2200 defense. When this card is summoned, toss a coin and give it the appropriate effect. If it's heads, once per turn. During your end phase, target one face-up monster you control and destroy it. If you do, take damage equal to its attack on the field. Tails, once per turn during your end phase, target one face-up monster on the field your opponent controls, destroy the target. If you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its attack on the field. So, you definitely want to get a Tails, and there are certain dual skills Sartorius has, or even the field spell Light Barrier. So, this actually is an okay card for burn decks. You could use it to burn your opponent down if you protect this card long enough on the field. There is Mithra. Mithra is used kind of to set up Lava Golem, but it's ramp, and you could get this out with one summon. So, I think there is a fit for Hanged Man Burn. This could kind of take the place of Parasite Infestation leaving the game, and you could just play Sartorius Burn, where you guarantee the Tails, I guess. So, this could be something, I think. And it could be countered, of course. Anything that hits it, like Paleozoic Canadia or Floodgate, can counter it. So it's definitely not OP. And there are graveyard protections that prevent monsters from being destroyed right away in the meta. So I think this is a good card. It could get annoying, but you do have to protect it long enough on the field. The next card is called Ledger of Leisure Domain. It's a quick play spell. Banish 3 cards from the top of your deck face down. During your third standby phase after this card's activation, add those 3 banished cards to your hand. You can only activate 1 Ledger of Leisure Domain per turn. So I'm not really sure what the point of this card is, frankly. They say it's quick play. It's not quick play, actually. It's a normal spell. This prevents deck destruction. Let's say White Magical Hat becomes OP for some reason and it's knocking out cards in your deck. This will kind of prevent that, but deck destruction never really was a thing in Duel Links. In fact, you actually willingly did this in Toons or the Fairy Tale deck, but it could work for decks that like running a lot of spells in one turn in a combo, like Bamboo. I remember with Bamboo, you tried to get as many spells in your hand as possible with Magical Stone Excavation or whatever, but maybe even Exodia. You could draw into Wonder Wands and things like that. So I think this has a fit in those decks, but it's very limited play, I think. Otherwise, in other decks, I don't see much of a purpose for it. Maybe 6 Sams. Well, it's too clunky in 6 Sams, but you know. And then the three remaining cards are the Sky Lord, the Material Lord, and the Spiritual Lord. And these cards we kind of talked about. Sky Lord is a continuous spell. Activate this card if you have a level 7 or higher Arcana Force monster in your graveyard. Send this card face up. 1 Material Lord, 1 Spell Lord from your field to the graveyard. Special summon Arcana Force EX Arcane Ruler from the hand, deck, or graveyard. So, how this works is you start off with the Material Lord. Continuous Trap. Activate this only if you have a level 4 or lower Arcana Force monster in the graveyard. Send 1 level 5 or 6 Arcana Force monster from the hand to the graveyard. Add 1 Spiritual Lord from your deck to your hand. So this is the first step. You have to have the smaller monster in the graveyard. Activate this. Dump a 5 or 6 from your hand to the graveyard. Next one is Spiritual Lord. Continuous Trap. Activate this if you have a level 5 or 6 in your graveyard. Send 1 level 7 or higher Arcana Force monster from your hand to the graveyard. Add a Sky Lord from your deck to your hand. And then you play Sky Lord. So it works in a chain where you have these 3 continuous cards and then you get Arcana Force Light Ruler. The problem, of course, is you have to have that card in your hand. Material Lord needs the level 5 or 6 in the hand, and then you send it away. Then Spiritual Lord needs the 7 in the hand, and you send it away. So that's the big weakness here. That's the big limitation. And you're going to be playing 3 Lord Pillars if you want to make this work, but having it in the hand versus just getting it straight from the deck is what makes this not that competitive. So I don't really see this being a strategy to get Arcana Force Ruler, Light Ruler out. I think there are easier ways to do it. I think 6 Sams could even do it easier because they could get the dojos out and things. So yeah, that's all planned. That's all the way to get Light Ruler out onto the field to get cheated out, but I don't really see it being too good of a strategy. We're going to shift our discussion now to the new box, Cybernetic Rebellion. Before we move on to that, we're going to talk about the podcast question of the week, which is what is the best archetype support in the new box? If you looked at the box, there are definitely themes. There's the new Crystron deck. There's returning aliens. There's a lot of water elements, specifically mermaids, but there's a lot of other water archetypes. There's penguins, there's things with sea serpents, ice barriers. So there's a lot going on with all the cards we have. Yeah, there's a lot going on. So the question, I basically broke it down into the main archetypes: Crystrons, which I spelled wrong, aliens, mermaids, or something else. 24% of the respondents said Crystron, 24% said aliens, 37% said mermaids, 15% said something else. Card Game Penguin says, I'm sorry, but this is the day my alien boys have been waiting for. Tier 0, here we come. Yeah, I think I was an alien player myself. I never really got King of Games with aliens. I think I definitely had them in Legend at least, but the few cards that came in with aliens here are very exciting, so we're going to talk about those. I don't know, I mean, it's not going to be tier 0, but they might hit some lower tier, I think. They might be good enough to be tier 3, or 2 if we're lucky. Doug Dimmenduel, Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck Talk says, Mermaids, just wait until XZ's monsters are introduced to Duel Links. It's going to be crazy. Yeah, that's one of the reasons to get this box. Mermaids will have lasting, they'll have longevity. They'll be good for the XZs. As Doug says, I'm not a guy I didn't play the game when XZs existed, so I'm going to learn from others. Doug definitely knows a lot about the TCG, so that's another reason to get this box. Even if I can't play anything right now with my lack of gems, it's something that has lasting value. So, XZs might be a few months away, half year away, I don't know. So this is going to be good. Alright, so let's actually move on to the discussion on the box. As I've done before with these big boxes, I'm not going to discuss every card yet. I'm going to break it into 2 episodes. So this episode I will talk about the URs and SRs specifically. Next time I'll move on to the Rs and Ns. To be honest, I don't even know what a lot of these Rs and Ns are. There's a lot of frogs. There's Flip Flop Frog, Ronin Toad. There's a lot of penguins. There's Atlanteans. There's ice barriers. There's white fish. There's just a lot going on. Jack Wyvern was a card that looked pretty cool, I think. Fishborgs. There's an alien continuous spell, which looks pretty good. And then the ends, the DD Guide. That's just a character from this game that never really... It's kind of the Dual Tower, or whatever they call it. And Nimble cards, Nimble Manta, Nimble Angler, Whitefish. Yeah. Okay, so that's all the... Oh, there's also the Crystron field spell in the ends. So there's definitely a lot to dig into, and I will save that for next week. But this time I will just talk about the URs and SRs. Of course, in the main box, URs and SRs are different. There's only 1 UR per deck and 2 SRs. And that's annoying because when I was buying through this box, I was looking for the UR alien card. And I was gonna reset after I got that card. And it took me till the 18th pack, so I bought 90% of the box. And then I finally got the alien card. And at that point I got one of every UR, so I guess there was something to it where I got at least every UR once. But I was pretty much exhausted with gems. I think I had 2,700 left for the second round, and that's where I stand right now. So I'm trying to get multiple URs to play these cards, to play these new archetypes. I think I got a second Crystron synchro if that's necessary. But some of the SRs I do have 3 copies of, so I might be ready to play some of these decks. So let's get to the cards right now. First UR is Cyber Twin Dragon. See, there's so much to talk about in this box, I didn't even remember Cyber Dragon finally made it. But anyways, Cyber Twin Dragon is a fusion of 2 Cyber Dragons, level 8, Machine Fusion, 2800 attack, 2100 defense. A fusion summon of this card can only be done with the above fusion materials. It can make a second attack during each battle phase. Pretty simple. It's a 2800 that can hit twice. And Cyber Dragon doesn't even matter it's on the field because you fuse from the hand too. I don't think this card is OP. Cyber Dragon itself is better than this fusion. The card Tyrant Burst Dragon does more. It can hit 3 times, and it has more attack. It's pretty easy to do with Hex Fusion, though. They did note that you could just play Hex Fusion, a special summon Cyber Dragon, play Hex Fusion, a light Hex Fusion, and then it comes built in with Polymerization. So that's the advantage of having this card. Of course, it's an extra deck card. You could give it Power of the Guardians, of course, to make it pretty fast to get a 1-turn kill. But there's enough counters in this game. There's Paleozoic out. That's going to be a recurring theme. So, this is not a broken card by any means. I think Cyber Dragon is more exciting. Cyber Dragon is finally here. It never came with Zane. We always thought it was going to be the one, like the card, his ace monster or whatever, but Zane never gave it to us. So it's here now. Level 5, light, machine, 2100 attack, 1600 defense. If only your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Free ramp, 2100 attack, level 5. These are all very good things. It's good for synchros because 5 stars is pretty good, and you get 3 and it's 8 right there. You could use it for XZ summoning for a level 5 as well. It's a ramp for level 1 tribute summons. 1 tribute monsters. So, the uses of this card are pretty infinite. It is pretty good. Your opponent probably will play a monster during their turn. So, yeah, Cyber Dragon's always a good card to have. The Crystrons are here. And this is their Ace Synchro, level 9, Machine Synchro, Crystron Quadrian Gandrax. Level 9, Machine Synchro, 2 or more tuners, 1 non-tuner. If this card is Synchro summoned, you can target monsters your opponent controls, or in their graveyard up to the number of Synchro materials used for the Synchro summon, banish them. If this Synchro summoned card is destroyed by battle or card effect, target 1 banished monster except for this one, special summon it to your field. 3000 attack, 3000 defense. There's a lot going on here. It's the first Synchro monster in Duel Links to require 2 tuners. It's always been 1 tuner. This one is 2 tuners, and your non-tuner adding up to 9. Then, when it's on the field, you get the ability to banish 3 opponent monsters in the field or in the graveyard. In this meta we are in right now, those are equally good things. Blue eyes, red eyes, Neos, anything with graveyard protection, even 6 Sams, they rely on Fuma a little bit. So this is a really good ability, and better yet, it's an automatic ability. If this card gets hit by Floodgate or Treacherous Treacherous, Floodgate, Paleozoic, the ability still goes off. So you're getting a 3 banish. You're giving up 3 monsters, and then you get this guy, but you're banishing 3 from your opponent, so that's a very good move. And then when it's destroyed, you can even steal your opponent's monsters. You could steal any banished monster and get it back. So there's a lot of value in this card. I think the best part about this card is its ability to go off, even if it's hit by something when it's summoned. So you're guaranteed that ability. Very good. It's Junk Berserker, Junk Destroyer was very good, I think, in doing that. And even if it got flipped down, it still destroyed the cards. This is better because it's banish. I think this is the reason why you would want to play Cristrons, because this card is very good. Next card is also Crystron Sulfefnir, level 5 machine, 2000 attack, 1500 defense. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can discard one Crystron, except for Sulfefnir. Special summon this card in defense, then destroy one card you control. If this card is on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, special summon one Crystron monster from your deck in defense mode. You can use this effect once per turn. Yeah. This card can resurrect itself from the graveyard, so as long as your hand has a Crystron, so you could keep doing it. And then you could destroy itself with your own ability, and special summon any Crystron from the deck. And it's 5 stars, so that helps towards synchro summoning. It's a facilitator card, it's a worker card that has some attack and defense. That's not really why you're using it, but it's a worker card. And the whole archetype fits very well, so you could try to set up a play to get your synchro out. I think it's a pretty good card. It's a card that will be run into the deck. Now the chase card I was talking about, Alien Ammonite. Level 1 Reptile Tuner Light, of course, 500 attack, 200 defense. When this card is normal summoned, special summon one level 4 or lower alien monster from your graveyard. Destroy it during the end phase. So Alien Tuner, 1 plus 4. All the aliens are 4 typically. And the ones we're talking about are Alien Warrior, Alien Telepath, and Alien Kid. I think Alien Telepath is dropping out of the deck, but 1 plus 4 equals 5, and their synchro summon is a 5, luckily. So you could also count other 5s, of course. So yeah, I think so. For aliens, Powerful Rebirth is a card that's traditionally an alien card. And this does the same thing, essentially, but it doesn't ramp up the level. I think both cards will be run in conjunction in a new alien deck, so it's not going to completely take away from Powerful Rebirth, but you're going to have to run Alien Ammonite if you're playing the Synchro Monster, which you will be. Next card is Mecha Phantom Beast O Lion. Wind Machine Tuner, level 2, 600 attack, 1000 defense. You can banish this card from the graveyard immediately after this effect resolves. Normal summon one Mecha Phantom Beast monster from your hand. While you control a token, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Mecha Phantom Beast token. Level 3/0/0. You can use this effect once per turn. So, this card's pretty good on its own. It's a Mecha Phantom Beast tuner. You could get a free normal summon from the hand. It sounds good, but the archetype isn't going anywhere. The deck was a little sneaky when it showed up on ranked. It definitely beat me a lot because I didn't know what the cards did. But it never really was a tiered deck that saw a ton of play. This card's good, but I don't think their synchros are up to snuff. There's a lot going on wrong with them. They're just in the wrong place. So this is more of a filler you are for some archetype that's not really going anywhere. Next card is Mermail Abystis. Level 7 Aqua, 1700 attack, 2400 defense. You can discard one other water monster to the graveyard, special summon this from your hand. If summoned this way, add one level 4 or lower Mermail from your deck to your hand. You can use this effect once per turn. So, there's a lot of water stuff going on here, and their specialty is discarding things. So, you discard a card you want for ability, and you get a free body on the board, and a tutor. So, it's pretty good for Mermails. You're going to want to run cards you want to discard. I think of the Atlanteans, like heavy infantry, or I forget what the other one's called, but they destroy stuff on the field, so Mermails are definitely something to look out for because they have a ton of support from previous sets. And you might want to run this card because it is a free summon, it facilitates water abilities, it's a tutor, it does a lot. Next card is Deep Sea Diva, level 2 Sea Serpent Tuner, 200 attack, 400 defense. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one level 3 or lower Sea Serpent from your deck. Very good card. It's It's as good as Junk Synchron. It's a 2+3. You don't have to be playing a Kiza, so you could play. This is an alternative to that. Free level 5 synchro play right there. And you have something on the board. Or if that monster that comes out, that Sea Serpent that comes out, has an extra ability, you could ramp into a bigger synchro summon. Yeah, very good card. And maybe the Sea Serpents have abilities in the graveyard too, so you're going to have to look out for that. Of course, it's just level 3 Sea Serpent, so it's not every water monster, but I think all the Atlanteans are Sea Serpents, I'm not sure. And finally, Night Beam. This is a card we've seen from the reprint box. Normal spell, target one set spell or trap your opponent controls, destroy it. Your opponent cannot activate targeted card in response to this card's activation. So, yeah, this is kind of like Anti-Magic Arrows, Shinzeng Hu type card. And it has seen competitive play. It's good for aggressive decks that can just burst your opponent down. You play this. Yeah, it's a solid card. It's not a card I'm disappointed to get. It will have its uses. Let's move on to the SRs here. We have Scrap Archfiend, which is another reprint card. Level 7 Fiend Synchro. 2700 attack, 1800 defense. Nothing really special here. It is 2 archetypes. That's something to talk about. It's a Scrap and it's an Archfiend. So it fits into both things. Traditionally, it doesn't really matter because this card was just used as being a level 7 beat stick. So this card did see play. You do see it in extra decks every so often when they need a 7. It will see some play. I think that's something that we kind of called in this podcast, that sometimes just existing had some value. I think the same thing with Gaia, the Fierce Knight. No, it's the Synchro version. I forgot what the name is, but it had use for just being a beat stick at level 6. This is the same thing, beat stick at level 7. Notably, it's not considered a normal monster. It's a Synchro, so it's not really normal, so you can't have synergy there. Here's the alien card, Cosmic Fortress Golgar. Level 5 Light Reptile Synchro. You need Alien, Ammonite, and 1 or more non-tuner aliens. 2600 attack, 1800 defense. Once per turn, you can select any number of face-up spells or traps. Return those cards to their opponent's hands and distribute new A counters among monsters on the field equal to the number of cards returned. Once per turn, you can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field to destroy 1 card your opponent controls. So, very easy to play because it's a level 5. So you get Alien Ammonite to bring something back. And then it doesn't matter if it destroys it because you make this guy. And then you return spells and traps. I think part of it is relying on your opponent to have those, but typically they'll be your own. And you could reuse your Powerful Rebirth. That's what's so good about Powerful Rebirth was always good in Aliens, but it's even better now because you could just keep doing it. Aliens also run other continuous cards. So there is A Cell Incubator. There's also a R called Code A Ancient Ruins here. So you just keep reusing those cards. And then you put counters on things. Alien counters are always good on the opponent. But let's say they don't have a face-up monster. You could just put it on this card yourself. So, and then this card can destroy stuff. The ability to distribute the A counters and then use them to do whatever you want is also very good. You could use Alien Overlord to get special summoned on the field. This card destroys stuff, kind of like Telepath did, Alien Telepath. So, very versatile. It could distribute A counters, it could destroy stuff. It has good attack. For a level 5, it's pretty good. Of course, what makes this card not OP is the abilities don't activate right away. So 3 times Paleozoic Canadian, 3 times Floodgate should be good enough. Even Econ will stall this card out, they Econ take, and then this card won't use its ability. So this card's not OP. It's not the best Synchro monster. It is pretty good though, and the amount of cards, alien cards around, you can make something really creative with the number of continuous spells you have. And let's say they have a lot of face-up monsters, you're pretty much won the game, because you could distribute all those A counters everywhere. So I really like this card. It's not OP, of course. It's not going to make aliens tier 1, but it's pretty good. Next card is Gungnir, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, level 7 Dragon Synchro. 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner water monsters, 2500 attack, 1700 defense. Once per turn, you can discard up to 2 cards to the graveyard to target the same number of cards your opponent controls and destroy them. So, it's an ice barrier, but you don't need to use it in ice barriers, just a water deck. So it could be Mermails and Atlanteans. You could discard Mermails or Atlanteans to your advantage with that their abilities that destroy things, so it's very solid. So basically you could discard 2 and destroy even more than 2 based on what you discard. It's not OP, of course. There's graveyard protection monsters, so you can't, let's say you want to clear a Neos, they'll have protection or 6 Sams, things like that. So it's not OP, but it's definitely a choice. It's a solid choice in level 7 water synchro decks. Next card is White Aura Dolphin, level 6 fish synchro, 1 tuner, 1 non-tuner. 1 or more non-tuners, 2400 attack, 1000 defense. Once per turn, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes half of its original attack until the end of the turn. This card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard. You can banish 1 other water monster from your graveyard, special summon this, and if you do, it's treated as a tuner. I think that second ability of it being a tuner is kind of, it's not too useful. You just have a really big tuner. But this card will win a fight right away. You're going to get something with half attack, and they probably won't have 4800 attack, so this card will win the fight. It'll win 1 fight guaranteed. It works for a generic level 6 synchro. So you don't need it to be a water monster. The materials don't have to be water monsters. So it could work there. The second ability, the resurrection ability, works better in a water deck, though, so you might want to put it there. This is also a very solid card. Samsara, Dragon of Rebirth. This is a reprint card. Dragon Synchro, 1 tuner and 1 more non-tuners, level 5, 100 attack, 2600 defense. If this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or if this card you control is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, target 1 monster in either player's graveyards, except for Samsara, special summon it. You can use this once per turn. This is a card that saw a lot of play in competitive decks as an option to disrupt graveyards. You could steal their blue eyes, for example. So, yeah, that's what it's for. Crystron Citri, level 2 water machine tuner, 500 attack and defense. During your opponent's main phase or battle phase, you can target 1 non-tuner monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but it has its effects negated if any. And if you do, immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon 1 machine-type synchro monster using only that monster and this card. It's a quick effect. These synchro materials are banished instead of being sent to the graveyard. You can use this effect once per turn. So, this is the first tuner where we're seeing quick effect synchro summon. And that's very useful because of Paleozoic Canadia, or Floodgate. Because when you play your tuner, sometimes they hit you and then you can't do the synchro summon. So this is a quick effect. It will beat that. And the difference here, it's a level 2, so you can't use it to make Quadrant Ganjix. Because that requires 2 tuners, and this only allows 1 material. What you can make is the level 5 Crystron Amatrix. So, the card's pretty solid too, so that's an R. So this card is pretty good. It makes a quick effect synchro. That's a new thing, I guess. And yeah, I would like this ability. If other synchros had this ability too, that would be nice. Like other tuners had that ability of quick effect, but it just works for Amatrix. Another Crystron Smiger, level 3 machine. 1000 attack, 1800 defense. You can target 1 face-up card you control. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. except for machine synchro monsters, also destroy that card. If you do special summon one Crystron Tuner from the deck, you can banish this from the graveyard, add one Crystron spell or trap from the deck to your hand. You can use this effect once per turn. So, you play this, you destroy itself, you special summon a Tuner, then you banish this from the graveyard, tutor another spell or trap. Seems really good. It's kind of like the Solfafnir. These cards are workers. You get a Tuner from the deck, so you get the Citri, and then the Citri can get a monster back. So, you could just make a quick play on Crystron Amatrix, too. Very good card. Mermail Abyss Lindy, level 3 Aqua, 1500 attack, 1200 defense. If this card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Mermail from your deck, except for Abyss Lindy. You can use this effect once per turn. So you could cheat out your biggest Mermail monster straight from the deck. It's pretty dangerous, because some of those Mermails have a lot of attack from the previous sets. There are cards that limit this, though, that we have Ancient Gears, you have Armadides, so if this card becomes rampant, expect those cards to shoot up. Nightmare Penguin, this is Crump from the series. Level 4 Aqua, 900 attack, 1800 defense. All face-up water monsters you control gain 200 attack. When this card is flipped face-up, target one card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. You see where this is good, right? It's a flip for bounce mechanic. It is a tech card. It's an upgrade over Gale Lizard. Gale Lizard only bounces monsters, and this could hit spells and traps. Sazank is a card that competes with this because Sazank can attack directly, so that is the difference. If you want a more, it's kind of like a burn deck, I guess. Sazank's better, but this is a straight upgrade over Gale Lizard. It's versatile, it's a good tech card, it has high defense. Abyss Sphere, trap card, continuous. Special summon one Mermail monster from the deck. Its effects are negated. You can't activate spell cards. When this card leaves the field, destroy that monster. Destroy this card during your opponent's next end phase after activation. This looks like a ramp card. You just get a smaller Mermail out. You tribute or synchro summon into something. That's all this is. I'm not sure if this will see play. I guess the picture, you have the Abyss Lindy, and you could just destroy it for effect, I guess, and then get something else out. I guess you could do that. I really like the last SR, Reject Reborn, trap card. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, end the battle phase, and then you could special summon one Tuner and one synchro summon monster from your graveyard, but they have their effects negated. So, this essentially is negate attack with extra things going on, and ending the battle phase is such a good ability. Because they can have 3 things on the board, they attack, and then you end the battle phase, and that's it. This only works in synchros because you need to have... It's situational, first of all. You need to have the Tuner and the synchro monster dead. So, they don't have abilities or whatever, but you could kind of ramp into a synchro play the next turn, but this just ends the battle phase. I think this is going to see play for sure. That's just a very good... It counters one-turn kill things, and this card's situational. You need those synchro monsters dead, but it's a very dangerous card. I really like this card. That is it for the discussion of URs and SRs for this box. Next episode, we're going to talk about the Rs and Ns and kind of the archetypes broadly. We're probably going to have some new King of Games or tournament winners at this point with some of these new decks. I expect this box to be one of the best, actually. It's very good. That's why I kind of saved up for it. I skipped the last box completely just to save up for this. So, yeah. I expect a lot to come from this box, and the meta is going to change a bit to accommodate it as well. Talk about a few remaining things left over. The mission circuit. So it's essentially a reskinned Dualathon, but a little more. I think it's better. It's something that has better rewards. It doesn't end as fast as the Dualathon. I think one thing that was annoying about the Duel-a-thon is the reward multiplier. You have to line it up with the Vagabond when he's there or whatever. This one seems like a continuous event, and that means more rewards. There is one new card, Card of Distrain. Spell card, activate when there are 2 or more face-up cards in your opponent's spell or trap zone. Select one of these cards. It cannot be activated this turn. Inflict 800 damage to your opponent each time they activate the remaining face-down cards this turn. This is like Anti-Magic Arrows, Hey True Nations, and Who. There's pros and cons to both. This has a burn element to it, but it lets them activate the card. It could put them in a tough choice if they don't have many life points left and they have to do it. They probably will activate the card, but it could result in them losing too, so this is a very situational card. I mean, it's in the situation where you want to use Anti-Magic Arrows, so it's a nice card to have, though. It's not a horrible card. Yusei's Birthday Gifts. So, what's going on here is they're giving out a new duel skill and also 4 prismatic cards. So just log in and you'll get them. Tuning is a new duel skill. I think synchros that don't run synchron decks that don't run Junk Warrior can make use of this. So it's basically a draw skill where you lose 1,500 and then you could draw into your synchron cards. So you don't have to play a key. It's less of a crutch to play a Kiza, what grows in the graveyard, because that's the best way to play synchrons with Junk Synchron. This one works better for quick draw or the other ones. So I expect this skill to actually see some play. And you probably can package it with Cosmic Cyclone or Mirror Wall so you could lose those life points automatically, and then get your Synchro on your draw. You're also getting the prismatic cards, Junk Berserker, Starlight Road, Mock Synchron, and Lightning Warrior. Those cards aren't too good. Junk Berserker's okay, I guess. It's not Junk Destroyer. But, yeah, free stuff. And the new Duel Skull is always great. This is a pretty good free Duel Skull to get. Alright, so Doug Dimmadule is here. Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck Talk, he's back. He has a light and dark Silent Swordsman farming deck. I think this is the first farming deck he's bringing to the podcast. So, check him out right now if you're having trouble farming Sartorius, or if you don't feel like playing Yubel decks anymore. This is one way to go, so check him out.
Hey there, this is Doug Dimmadule with Doug's Casual Deck of the Week. This week I want to run through a farming deck for Sartorius. This is one that I think you could use as a general farming deck for quite a few of the different events that are rolling through PvE. This is kind of something that you could even play around with and have some fun in PvP land with. And again, this is something that I've had just a blast using, and it revolves around Silent Swordsman and the skill Light and Dark with I forgot their names here. They got Loomis and Umbra. That's right, Loomis and Umbra. It's their skill Light and Dark, and what the skill allows. If you don't necessarily remember what it does, you choose from one of the following. You return one dark monster from your hand to your deck, and then add from your deck to your hand one light monster with the same level and type as the monster you returned. Return one light monster from your hand to your deck, then add from your deck one dark monster with the same level and type as the monster you returned. Now, you could use this skill up to, I believe it's twice per duel, once per turn and twice per duel. And this skill is phenomenal. It adds to the consistency of at least being able to get your Silent Swordsman play as early as possible. So that's really the goal. The goal is to have one of your level 4 warriors, either a light or a dark, and then tribute it out for a Silent Swordsman. Keep building its attack, and then ultimately you could swing for 10,000 attack. If you want to run the Gravekeeper's Vassal little engine in there, where you use your Union attack and your Gravekeeper's Gravekeeper's Vassal. You could always do that. That's if you really want to try and cross that 8,000 point threshold. But this deck, without the Gravekeeper Vassal, you could still hit around 5,800 to 6,200 dual assessment points regularly, consistently, and almost without fail. So what does this deck involve? Like I said, you have the Light and Dark skill. As far as the monsters go, I do run my one copy of Silent Swordsman level 7. The only way that it could be special summoned is essentially from Silent Swordsman being sent to the graveyard. But what this card does is negate all spells on the field, including your own. That's the only downfall to it. But if you're going against Sartorius, he runs a lot of powerful spell cards. So worst case scenario, you'll do all right having Silent Swordsman level 7 on the field. You won't really be able to expedite your attack growth because we're going to have some cards that boost the attack, but they're only spell cards. So that's the drawback. But still, worst case scenario, this card can come in handy. You want to run your 3 copies of Silent Swordsman, level 4 warrior, 1,000 attack, 1,000 defense. The only way that this can be special summoned is by tributing 1 warrior monster and cannot be special summoned by other ways. The reason why I prefer this card over Silent Magician is because once per turn, this card gains 500 attack during the standby phase, both opponents' turns. So you don't have to rely on an increase in the hand size. You don't have to rely on anything else. It's just as long as he stays on the field, then keeps gaining attack. So eventually you'll pass that 10,000 attack threshold and you'll just be able to swing for game. Next thing I got here is Destiny Hero Decider, level 4 warrior. You guys know this one. You can get this at the card trader. 1,600 attack, 1,000 defense. It's very good because level 6 or higher monsters cannot target this card for attacks. So this definitely comes in handy when your opponent's deck has a lot of high-level monsters. It allows you to stall, hopefully eventually draw into your Silent Swordsman play if you're not using the Light and Dark skill. I also run 3 copies of Ninja Grandmaster Sasuke, level 4, 1,800 attack, 1,000 defense. This one's a little bit of a throwback. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks a face-up defense position monster, destroy that monster. It's just a pretty good, it's pretty good because it's a level 4 warrior. It is light, though, so it allows you to search out one of your dark warriors if you'd prefer that one. Another level 4 warrior that I run is Darkblade, the Captain of the Evil World, level 4 warrior, 1,800 attack, 1,500 defense. Once per turn, you can banish 1 dark monster from your graveyard to target 1 level 4 or lower light monster your opponent controls. Equip it to this card. If this card on the field would be destroyed, that monster equipped to it with this effect is destroyed instead. So, again, the reason why I really run this card is because it's a level 4 dark. I'm not really using it for its effect. I'm using it just to get my Silent Swordsman out here. So the moral here is that you can run just about any level 4 dark warrior. There's not that many when I've sorted everything out within the card inventory. There are some pretty good ones. These are some of the better ones. I just preferred them because of their attack stats and their defense stats. But essentially, you could run any level 4 warrior as long as it's light or dark and you're able to utilize this skill to swap things out. Now, as for the spells, this is a given. You got to run your 2 copies of Silent Sword Slash. What you do is you target 1 Silent Swordsman monster you control. That monster you control gains 1,500 attack and defense, and if it does, until the end of this turn, it's unaffected by your opponent's card effects. This card's activation and effect cannot be negated. You can banish this card from your graveyard to add 1 Silent Swordsman monster from your deck to your hand, so that's pretty good. Then, of course, you've seen this card a million times. Power of the Guardians. It's that spell equip card where if an attack is declared involving this equipped monster, place 1 spell counter on this card. The equipped monster gains 500 attack and defense for each spell counter on this card. If the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove 1 spell counter from your field instead, so it adds an extra level of protection. And then I want to round things out with 2 copies of Mage Power. The equipped monster gains 500 attack and defense for each spell card you control, because you're going to have 2 copies of Power of the Guardians on the field anyway, so Mage Power gives it that extra 1,500 attack boost. It's just a solid card for that final push to get over that 10,000 attack threshold. So ultimately the strategy is get any of your level 4 warriors on the field, swap out using your Light and Dark skill to bring a Silent Swordsman to your hand if you don't already have one. Put that Silent Swordsman on the field. Hopefully you have an equipped spell card in your hand that turn also. Add that extra level of protection and attack boost so Sartorius can't swing over your Silent Swordsman. Just ride it out. Just keep gaining attack every standby phase. When you're ready to go, you could have more than 1 Silent Swordsman on the field. Go ahead and start knocking out your opponent's monsters and then start swinging for game. You get that over 10,000 attack bonus. You could probably destroy a lot of monsters in the meantime. So overall, that's pretty much the best strategy in order for you to get your Silent Swordsman to really start racking up your duel assessment, to start farming Sartorius. And this type of deck I've used for other farming methods in the past, different variations of it, but with the introduction of the Light and Dark skill, this almost guarantees in your first turn that you're going to end up with a Silent Swordsman, unless you just draw into just an absolute crappy hand, which happens. I mean, hey, that's the luck of the game, but I would say that this is one of the most consistent builds for farming if you're trying to run a Silent Swordsman deck. So this can actually have some fun play for competitive, but it's not really something that can handle the meta all that well. But it's still a pretty fun deck. So I do recommend you trying this out. You could splash in some tuners if you want and something like that to add a synchro element to it. But as far as I'm concerned for farming, I don't need any extra deck action in here. This is simply just a one-dimensional strategy taking advantage of Silent Swordsman. So anyway, hope you try this one out. That's it for this week's episode of Doug's Casual Deck of the Week, and I will see you next time. Take care.
All right, thanks a lot, Doug, and you can check him out on his podcast every week or on his Twitter page, Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck Talk. A few remaining things, upcoming news. Welcome to Duel Academy, Duelist Chronicles GX, hot new card, mid-July. Mid-July also, Alluring Alexis, Cyber Angel Izana, Merciful Machine Angels. Will Cyber Angels come back? There's a lot of flux going on in the meta. It could leave an opening. Irano Hasselberry's getting retired. Rise of Yubel together at last. You get a new character, new legendary duelist, so those gems will help us buy this new box. That's always great. That's happening late July. And finally, Tour Guide's Mission Bingo again. I guess the Duel Quest isn't coming back this month. It was a staple in the late month period, but it's taking a break. So that is it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe wherever you are. Check out the podcast and more at the website, theduelassessment.wordpress.com. All the tedious notes are there. Email me with any inquiries, theduelassessment@gmail.com, or you can find me on Twitter, duel_assessment, me at GreenRangerCCG. Thanks for listening. Next week we'll have the remaining cards from the card box. Yeah, get this box. It's great. All right, see you guys later.